Have you ever been in a meeting and everyone is nodding? Nodding is doing this with their head. Everyone's nodding at a phrase and you have no idea what they're talking about. Well, chances are that phrase is either a phrasal verb or an idiom. Phrasal verbs and idioms are made up of basic small little words, but when they're put together, they mean something completely different and they're used widely in business English globally. So we're going to dive deep into essential business English vocabulary. This includes key modern terms, idioms, and phrasal verbs. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a good knowledge of these. We're going to go through these and practice them, have reinforcing materials. I'll send you an exam on these as well. And by the end of this small little masterclass, you're going to be able to understand these when these words and terms come up in business, because they do come up, and you'll be able to use them yourself. The reason why business English is so essential than just knowing regular English, business English improves your precision. Precision is saying exactly what you mean. So there's no area of gray where people don't understand exactly what you mean. It also boosts your credibility. If you use business English terms, idioms, phrasal verbs, you look like you know what you're talking about. You look like you're walking the walk. And walking the walk means you're doing the best as a businessman or businesswoman. And it shows that you have confidence. It also will 100% help you understand fast conversations that native English speakers have or advanced English speakers have in groups, in chats, in meetings, and in reports. You'll just understand more by learning this vocabulary. Example of confusion that can happen when it comes to business English is there's certain terms that mean one thing in Britain and another thing in America. And depending on if you work with just Americans, you can learn that. If you work with just British, you can learn that. But most of us work for global teams. So if someone says, let's table this topic, well, to table a topic in American English means we're not going to talk about it now. We'll postpone it. We'll circle back to that, talk about it later. To table topic in British English means we're going to talk about it now. So totally different meanings. So really understanding the global business English world is going to be key for you to achieve success and to put your best foot forward as you would in your native language in English. And also there's going to be a lot of jargon that's involved too. Circle back. Circle back is a phrasal verb, but it means we're going to come back to this topic. So knowing what people are saying and when they're saying it and how you can incorporate it into your business English vocabulary is essential. Idioms and expressions are not just for native speakers. They're used across all fields, all departments, HR, marketing, finance, tech teams. We need to align on this. Or let's run this up the flagpole. Do you understand the line on this? Do you understand the run up the flagpole? Well, these are common business English terms you could hear in Poland, and you can hear in Hong Kong, and you can hear in Australia, in Nigeria, in Peru. You can hear these terms everywhere. And even if you're not a native English speaker, high-level English speakers, they do use these words. Also, language does come across with perception. Using the right phrases makes you sound more proactive in the context of what people are speaking of. It makes you more confident. It makes you more fluent. If you miss these phrases, you're going to sound like textbooky English, which is not great. If you use overly formal business English, you're out of touch in today's business world. You really need to work in idioms and phrasal verbs and modern terms in your business English. Otherwise, you're going to sound like an old grandpa who's out of touch and doesn't know what's going on. It's not going to make you sound more intelligent. It's going to make you sound out of touch and not current, and that's not the point of business. Also, by learning business English, you're going to engage with your audience, which means you're speaking with them using terms that they know. You're not using terms that are kind of, like I said, a little detached or a little out of touch. You're using terms that they know, and they'll understand in a second what you're talking about. So communication is a lot more streamlined. This is essential. expanding your business vocabulary in English. Let's jump right in. Okay, first things first is when you learn vocabulary in context. So don't just learn one word. Learn how you use that word and learn it in chunks. We have a thing in English called dependent prepositions, and there are no rules with dependent prepositions. This is a word like depend. You understand the word depend. But depend has to go with the preposition on. It's called a dependent preposition. So depend on. So if you only learn depend, then you're going to have difficulty putting it in a sentence because you don't know the correct preposition. So when you're learning new vocabulary, learn it in chunks. The chunks is like a big piece. Don't just learn the individual word. So native English speakers, we store language in groups, not as isolated words. So for you as an ESL student, as an ESL professional, learning this vocabulary in chunks is really going to help you have perfect grammar, and it's going to help you also remember exactly how to use this word and when to use this word. For example, deadline is a great word. It's a very common business English word. Fine, deadline. Everyone understands what deadline means. But what verbs go with deadline? Oh, meet a deadline, which means you achieved your deadline. But we don't say achieve the deadline, we say meet the deadline. Or if you do not meet the deadline, you have missed the deadline. So learning words like deadline with the verbs that go with it, or prepositions like depend on, this really helps to expand your vocabulary, and it helps you be able to take that vocabulary immediately and throw it into a sentence and start using it correctly as soon as possible. Examples of some great collocations would be, let's close a deal. You don't say make a deal, let's close a deal. Raise funds. You don't collect money, you raise funds. I have a heavy work schedule, a heavy workload, tight schedule, meet expectations. These are called collocations, the ones that often go together. Okay, now we do have some essential business terms. These are not modern. These are not really collocations. These aren't phrasal verbs or idioms. These are just essential business terms. So these are ones you don't often find in textbooks. If you're already working in business, you probably know a lot of these. You may not be pronouncing them correctly. I find that does happen a lot, especially with acronyms. Or you may have a little confusion about when and where to use them. So we'll review some of these top ones. The first one is ROI. You can't say ROI. You must say ROI, the individual letters. And this means return on investment. I'm sure you'd know this one, but it's pretty important. ROI. What's our ROI on this project? It's a great one. Next one is KPI. Everyone knows this as well. I'm sure you know this, but KPI, and you can make it countable, KPIs. Stakeholders are anyone who is affected by a project or decision. Stakeholder could be people who actually have invested into something, or it could be people who just have some sort of involvement. So they are affected if it gets good or things get bad. They're affected by this project or decision. Leverage is something you can use strategically. So this tends to be skills or resources or connections. You could leverage your connections in this community to launch into this market. So to leverage is to use something you already have strategically. Next one is quarter. Notice how I say quarter. We say Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Fine, you got that. That's fine. But quarter, you don't pronounce the U on that. That's not like queen. No, quarter. The U is silent. So that's important. So this quarter, not quarter, quarter. The U is silent. Very good. Next one is margins, and margins are profits after costs. So we have a good margin on this project, on this service, on this product. A good margin is your profit after your costs. Next one is scalability. Scalability is the ability to grow without extra costs. So if you're able to grow a project, grow a product, grow a service, grow your margins, it's scalability. If you're not using extra funds, if you're not going into spending extra money, you're not throwing in extra money or extra costs into that. Okay, I've got some idioms for you here. Which of these have you seen before? Now, idioms are essential in business English. And because in a few amount of words, you can create an entire scenario, an entire feeling, an entire perspective, an entire description just with a few words. Idioms are key to business English. So let's take a look at, we have some top ones here on the same page. Let's have a quick call to make sure we're on the same page. It means we have the same idea of something. Hit the ground running. I love describing this with Tom Cruise, because in Tom Cruise will jump out of a helicopter and he won't land on the ground, sit down and gather his parachute and gather his things and check his legs if they're broken. No, Tom Cruise will jump out of the helicopter, land on his feet and start running. So to hit the ground running in business English, sorry, that's my only example for hit the ground running, but it's so descriptive, it works. So to hit the ground running in business English means you are immediately productive and effective. This is huge. So our new intern hit the ground running last week, or we have a new project here, we need to hit the ground running to provide for the client. So this means we're not going to spend weeks in training, bringing everyone up to speed. No, we need to be productive and efficient from day one. Next one is balls in your court. And this is a really great one. So many business English idioms come from sports, gambling, and war. This is where business English idioms come from, or military. So the balls in your court comes from tennis. So if we're playing tennis and I hit the ball over the net, it's on your side of the court, balls in your court, which means it's now your turn to do something, or to give your input, or to pay for something, or to take action on something. So I've done my job. The ball's in your court. It's your turn. Next one is learn the ropes, and this comes from sailing. And learn the ropes means to learn how something's done, to learn how a regular process works. So it takes most interns a week to learn the ropes. They don't hit the ground running. Or how are you settling in your new department? Yeah, I've learned the ropes really well. You had a great onboarding team. Or I'm looking forward to learning the ropes in this new role. And learning the ropes means learning how to do your role. This does not have to be a basic role. This could be a director, a C-level job, and you learn the ropes of a new bit of software, a new system, a new policy, working with a new market. Learn the ropes. Tips would be connect the idiom to an image like balls in your court. That's very descriptive. Learn the ropes. This is from sailing. Learn what all the ropes do, how to sail the ship, how to catch wind. Use them. And I always tell students, if you're learning new vocabulary, write with the vocabulary, and not like Jack went to the store and he did this. No, write with it in a context that includes your colleagues, your work, your friends, your family. Make it personal. The moment you have to write a sentence with a new bit of vocabulary, whether it's just a regular word or an idiom or a phrasal verb, if you have to write a sentence with that word and you have to create a whole situation around that sentence and you're connecting it to people you know or scenarios you know or situations you know, you've just quadrupled times 4, your ability to remember that word. So really don't just, it's so easy to scroll through Instagram or scroll through YouTube and look at words and definitions. I do it in Spanish. And do I retain anything? Nada. Nada means nothing in Spanish. I just don't retain enough. You really have to touch the words to work with them. I tell students when it comes to new vocabulary, and again, vocabulary is also phrasal verbs and idioms, you need to touch it 5 times. You need to read it. You need to write it. You need to hear it, you need to speak it, and you need to repeat one of those. You touch a bit of vocabulary 5 times, it's going to lock it into your long-term memory, bring it to your active vocabulary, and you'll have a lot better chance of using them. And again, where is it? Hold on one second. These guys, use these guys. Post-it notes. Post-it notes are just huge when it comes to learning a new language, and huge with English, especially business English. Write a couple idioms or one idiom or a couple bits of phrasal verbs or terms you like. Pop it on your computer monitor. Pop it around your office, wherever you work. Have it there. Have a visual clue and a visual key that's going to help you to incorporate this in business meetings, incorporate it into your writing, into your emails, into your phone calls, however you're using English. And this really does help to have a visual. Review and come back to it, but having those post-it notes, they really help you. Phrasal verbs. Now, if you look up on my shelf behind me there, I've got a blue book, and that is my own book, which I wrote because I was frustrated with the lack of real global business English resources out there. I just couldn't find a book that wasn't outdated, or it only focused on British phrasal verbs and not globally used phrasal verbs for business English, or wasn't even focused on business English, or kind of older scenarios. And so I did write a book with over 550 essential phrasal verbs for business English, and I included 300 modern business English terms also in that book. So that book has like 1,000 terms of business English. And in there are quizzes, there's dialogues, there's reinforcing activities, there's homework. It's a massive book. It's a fantastic resource for anyone learning English for business, available on Amazon. I'll put the link down below. But the reason I wrote that book on phrasal verbs is because business English is built on phrasal verbs. It truly is the backbone of business. Backbone's like your spine. Phrasal verbs are just key, absolutely key. And so often we'll use phrasal verbs even more in business English than in regular English. So this is really key. And again, phrasal verbs can be tricky for a lot of English learners. I know all these phrasal verbs are kind of dumped on you when you get to like upper intermediate level, and you see this whole world of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 new words you have to learn. And I know a lot of students are frustrated by it. Phrasal verbs, I mean, as a native English speaker, we learned this as a child. This is just regular vocabulary for us. So there's something wrong with the way that English is being taught. I don't know why we're waiting so long to teach people phrasal verbs. I hope that changes in the materials that's given to kids in schools, because phrasal verbs are just part of our day-to-day vocabulary. The thing is, native English speakers, phrasal verbs are so much a part of our vocabulary, we have no idea we're using them. So we don't mean to confuse people learning English as a second language by using phrasal verbs. We don't mean to make it difficult for you. That's just regular language for us. It's just regular words. So if you are doing business globally with global teams, especially with native speakers, or you're looking to immigrate or study abroad, or you need to function at a high level, an advanced level of English, phrasal verbs are essential for you. You need them. So we're going to cover a couple of these. I mean, for someone who's living and working in the business English world, you need 500 phrasal verbs. I mean, when I wrote my book, I brought it down to 550, and it was hard. I wanted to include thousands. I mean, you do need a lot. I did kind of put together the top that you needed, but still 500, that's a lot. That's a lot. You're probably already using them. I mean, I'm sure you are. Like, to follow up on. I'll follow up on that email tomorrow. Follow up on, that's a phrasal verb, right? Or I want to bring up the topic of the next quarter launch. Bring up means introduce a topic. Or the client wasn't happy, they're going to back out of the deal. Back out of the deal is like back out. If they've committed, no, they're leaving the deal. They back out on a deal. Or I want to run this idea by my manager. To run an idea by someone means you're going to present an idea for someone, see if they like it, get their opinion on it, see if it's going to be approved. Or that was a great meeting, everyone. Let's wrap it up. Wrap up means to finish something. So to wrap up. So these are just basic phrasal verbs. If you don't know some of these, you need to know these ones. These are pretty basic. One of the hard things about phrasal verbs, like there's many hard things about phrasal verbs, but one of the really tricky ones is that many phrasal verbs have multiple meanings. So work out, for example, of course, you know, you go to the gym and you work out, but work out also could mean to be a success. So, you know, I had ambitions to work in this field, but it didn't really work out. It wasn't a success for me. Or workout can also mean to understand. I get a prescription from a doctor's handwriting, worldwide. I'm pretty sure it's a worldwide stereotype. And I can't work out what my doctor wrote down. Workout means understand. So there's just 3 meanings of workout. So it's really important that when you learn a phrasal verb, you don't just learn the one, you learn the different meanings for them. And that's really what makes them tricky, because there's so many different meanings for one phrasal verb. Okay, now let's talk language. And language is in formality, what to use, what not to use, when to use it, and where to use it. We're going to look here at jargon and modern terms and slang within business. Now, the best advice I have for anyone is listen to the people you work with. Listen to your colleagues, listen to your clients, listen to your reps, listen to your suppliers, listen to how people talk. If you come from an industry like banking or finance or government or legal industries, you tend to use a bit more of a conservative language. If you come from a startup or a media company, it's going to be quite young, modern vocabulary. Most of us kind of work in the middle. I'd say 80% of business is in the middle. And the perfect business English is a marriage of formal business English and modern slang business English. And it's perfectly appropriate to have a mix of the two. That's how you're going to fit in and communicate with people at the same level that they're using. So first, I'm going to go through some really conservative or traditional business English terms, and I'm going to show you the informal version of it. So I'm not saying just use all the formal or use all the informal. No, mix them up. Go back and forth, and that's the perfect business English if you mix them both together, because then you have that conservative, formal business English know-how. You have that nice language, but you're not overdoing it, because you'll sound so out of touch if you're only speaking formal business English. And if you are always using informal business English, you don't have that same kind of cred or credibility that you need. So you want to mix these up, like literally go back and forth as much as you can. So for example, ascertain. We need to ascertain something. And ascertain means to find out. Well, use the phrasal verb find out. Don't say ascertain. I mean, you can use ascertain, but then don't use another formal word for a while. Balance it out a little bit. Another one, commence. Let's commence. No, let's kick off. Let's start. Furthermore, in addition, and also, these are fine. So again, you can totally say, let's commence the meeting. Let's commence. So you're in a big meeting. Okay, everyone's here. Great. Let's commence. Perfect. Now you said commence. So your next sentence, don't say furthermore. Don't say in addition. Say and. Also, so you want to balance those out, mix them up. In lieu of, no, instead of. Although in lieu of is fantastic. If you're kind of talking in a certain way, we need to find out what client A is doing in lieu of spending time developing this contract further. So you didn't say ascertain, you said find out, but then you said in lieu of. So you're kind of going back, a zigzag. Zigzag is like that, like this. And then going back and forth, and it's beautiful business English. It's the best business English, a balance of the two. Subsequently, then, regarding, I'm writing you regarding, about. And again, regarding's perfect, but then the next sentence can't be too formal. You want to balance it out a little bit. Please be advised, heads up, just letting you know. Let's see, as per your request, as you asked. So again, as per your request, and then you want to go to a bit more informal. Don't keep it too formal. Or as you asked, here's this, and then you can do a little bit of formal. Please don't hesitate to contact me. Feel free to reach out. So balancing that, very good. There's lots of examples here. I'm going to give you guys a full PDF that you can click and download with the formal business English and the informal business English. And again, you want to balance. You want to kind of go across the columns, mix them together. Okay, so that kind of covers formal and informal. And again, you don't want to do one or the other. You want to mix the two. That's ideal business English, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's good. I have experience. Take my opinion. It's a good one. Now, the next one is jargon and slang. Now, Jargon is fantastic. Jargon is like buzzwords, specialized terms from a specific field. You want to use buzzwords. You cannot overuse them. When people overuse them, it's a little bit cliche. It's a little bit cringe. Cringe is you're embarrassed for the person using it, or it can come across as a little bit insincere. So buzzwords would be example like synergy, pivot, scalable, leverage, game changer, touch base, fantastic words. I would recommend using all of these words. But if every single sentence has one of these words, what are you doing? It's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. Like I said, you kind of want to go back and forth a little bit. The same thing here when it comes to jargon or these buzzwords. Use them when they really do have an effect. Because these, anytime you use jargon or buzzwords, I mean, they do hold a lot of weight. And you can't have everything holding weight because it's just strange and it's not natural. So instead of, you could say, our company is highly scalable, which is fantastic. It means we're able to grow quickly. This is great. So in your next sentence, you wouldn't use, we need to pivot on this. No, you've already used one. Give it a break for a little bit and then go to use some more basic vocabulary. Now, when I'm talking about basic vocabulary, this does include phrasal verbs and idioms. So don't confuse the two. Phrasal verbs, you almost cannot overuse them unless it's really, really, really formal. A phrasal verb in every single sentence is perfectly fine in business English. So that's when it comes to jargon. Now, we have slang, and slang is very important. And I hate the word slang. Slang sounds like a bunch of teenagers talking and it's not even in the business world. Well, no, slang is not that. Slang just means like non-traditional vocabulary. You need to have slang. Ping me next week, and we'll go over the meeting results. Ping me. You've probably already heard this, ping me. It means send me a message. So this is what people call slang, but it's not slang. It's more like modern. Or I don't have the bandwidth this week to deal with another project, which means I don't have the mental capacity, energy, or time, or even resources to deal with it. Our burn rate's really high on this project, which means we're spending more money than we're earning. All of these are fantastic. This is what's considered business slang. Again, I hate the word slang, so it makes it seem like it's just like not important or it's too young. It's not. Like, it completely serves a role in business English. You need to have these words: burn rate, bandwidth, ping me. It's fantastic. Low-hanging fruit, something that's easy to achieve. These are fantastic words. Use these. Again, if you use one in one sentence, don't use it for a while. Like, spread them out. That's perfect. If you overuse them, not good. If you don't use them at all, not good either. Okay, so yes, you can read new vocabulary and you can read the definition of the vocabulary and you can hear me give a description of what the word means or the term means, but you have to remember it and be confident with it to actually use it or remember it correctly. So when someone uses it, you're like, oh yeah, I know that term or I know that word. So this isn't easy. Again, as I mentioned earlier, my opinion and the idea formulated when it comes to really retaining vocabulary, which works for me as a learner of Spanish, and it has worked for my students over the years, is touch that vocabulary 5 times and in different elements. Write with it. And I know we all work on computers. There's something about holding a pen or a pencil in your hand and a piece of paper. I think it's that physical element that goes along to writing a sentence in a different language. I just think the extra motor skills involved do help to lock it into long-term memory. I'm not a scientist. I could be totally wrong, but it's worked better for me. Instead of copying a word from a document, Control C, pasting it, Control V into a PDF, I've not really touched. I've just kind of moved it with like really no involvement on my end. I don't remember that vocabulary, but if I'm actually writing down the word on a piece of paper, it does seem to lock it in a lot stronger and in a lot better way for me. So that works better for me. It works better for my students. Everyone's different, but I do recommend that. So write with the word. And when you write with it, don't just write the word down. Write the word in a sentence. And make sure you write the word in a sentence with a connection to your real world. How would you use that word? Not just Jane went to the store. And no, you don't even know anyone named Jane. Why are you using Jane in a sentence? Use someone you know, use a situation you know, and use the vocabulary in that context. It will help. You've done that. You want to listen to it. So take a sentence, and then you could copy it and throw it into a translating system. Listen to it in a sentence. Your ear is one of the best teachers anyone has. I often tell my students that like their ear is a better teacher than I am. Your ear has heard way more perfect English and has heard way more vocabulary than your mind knows. Your ear is your best teacher. So really have that word in a sentence and listen to it. Your ear will 100% help you. So you've written it in a context, in a sentence that you know, not just the word, in a sentence. You've listened to it. Now you listen to it, say back that sentence. Speak out loud. Even if you're home alone in your office alone, who cares? Talk to yourself. Say that word out loud. Say the sentence out loud. Speak it. So you've written it. You've listened to it. You've spoken it. Now you want to read it. So, go into ChatGPT, go into Google, go into whatever you use and say, give me a couple example sentences using this word in this type of context. And then read some example sentences. So 4 times now you've touched that vocabulary, and then repeat one of those other ones one more time. So now this is really going to help you lock in the vocabulary. This is key. This is key. I mean, just by scrolling through and looking at words, it's easy, it's fun, it's passive, it's not going to lock it in. You have to work with it. Again, with my business English books, I do have a lot of exercises to really lock in the vocabulary. It's important. What's the point of reading vocabulary and learning it if you're not going to retain it? So that's a really big one. Again, Post-it notes. These bad boys are fantastic. They just work the charm. They put terms you like, put them around your computer screen, put them near your camera if you're having an online meeting, and then you can just incorporate it into your meeting. It's a great one. Flashcards work, great online flashcards. You can make a little quiz for yourself. There's lots of things you can do, but again, use that five rule. It's really worked for me and really worked for my students.